Today I want to try to do things a little bit different. Instead of sharing the usual content, I want to share the story around how I went to Bolivia by myself to meet up with a girl and ended up getting heartbroken. This was back probably three-ish years ago, and I just went to South America to explore a new continent and to learn Spanish. And when I was there, very honestly, I was extremely lonely. I had been in Argentina for a month and I found it very hard to meet people that were similar to me. So I ended up going out on Tinder dates as my only method of actually getting my social interactions in, as a substitute for making real friends. And it wasn't a very good substitute, let me tell you. Eventually, I did make a couple of other expat friends, and one night they invited me to go out to this party. And I figured, you know what, I'm not a big party person, but really want to be social, so let me just join the party. I end up going to this venue that's super cool and it's hard to get in, and when I enter it's this weird metro station you have to go through. Eventually there's an actual metro there which doors opens up and you enter into this super fancy bar with all like high class people that think they're better than you kind of vibe. And I'm there feeling like, oh, I don't fit in at all here. But anyway, there I am. Let me have a good time with my friends. I go join my group of friends, and very quickly I notice next to me is an extremely gorgeous girl. And I'm like, wow, this girl is really something else. She's so beautiful. I just want to talk to her, to meet her, know who she is. And I'm thinking like, oh, I should really bust up the confidence to go meet her. But I don't feel at all that I'm not in the social mood. I don't feel very confident in this club. Like, I don't feel like I fit in. And I feel like she's so out of my league that if I go talk with her, she'll reject me instantly. But still, she's so good looking that I feel like I should do it regardless and just get a rejection, whatever happens. But at least I tried, you know? So an hour passes by and I still haven't moved up the confidence to do it. I see her now talking with some other guys. I'm thinking, oh, the ship has sailed by now. But an hour later she's still there and I'm still here without any confidence to talk with her. So again I let the opportunity pass me by, and eventually I see her walk out the back end to leave the club. I'm like, okay, there it goes. It's done now. I might as well leave the club because the last hour I've been here, it's only been waiting and hoping that somehow I'll get in proximity and talk with her, and it didn't happen. So eventually I go out to leave the club, and to my surprise she's still out there with her friend who is smoking and not leaving. So I'm like, oh shit, this is my last chance, and since I'm leaving, you know what, I might as well do it. I might as well go and give it my shot. So I go up to her, poke her on the shoulder, she turns around, and I'm like, you know what? I've been wanting to talk to you for the last 2-3 hours. I couldn't like build up the nerve to go say hi to you, but I think you look super cute, so hi. And she looks at me and she goes, hi. And I'm like, okay. And we slowly start talking, and turns out that she's actually very like open, and we're joking with each other, and things are going very well. And so in the end I end up getting her number, but sadly, to my disappointment, she tells me that she's actually leaving the country tomorrow. Some days passes by, she doesn't really text me back. I'm thinking, okay, it's done, you know, she's in Bolivia, she doesn't really seem to like me that much, she doesn't text me back. But a couple of days later, she sends me a text message saying, you know what, maybe you should come visit me. Bolivia is a really nice place, you should come visit this city and we can hang out again. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't think she would ever say that after having just met me for 20 minutes, because who's crazy enough to propose that idea? And who would be crazy enough to actually go there? Eventually, I think, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go. So I booked my flight to leave in 2 weeks. I asked her like, hey, would it be a good time if I come in 2 weeks? I'll book my Airbnb for 2 weeks, stay and so on. And she says, yeah, actually, you know what, I'm very busy, but if you come in 2 weeks, that's actually perfect timing with my school. And even though I'm busy, you know, I'll make sure to make time to hang out and to see you. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I'll go there for 2 weeks, have a good time, and then who knows what will happen. The days or maybe the week leading up to me going, I'm so fucking nervous. I'm like, I don't know anyone in this country. It's the poorest country, most dangerous country for sure that I've ever been in. The only person that I know there is a girl that I met in a club and spoke with for 20 minutes. And I don't know anything about her. Maybe she's fucking setting me up. Maybe when I get there she'll send me a text message like, "Ha, you're so stupid. Can't believe you came." Or worse, her fucking family will jump me and steal everything that I have. Or whatever can happen, like there's a fucking civil war in the country, who knows what can happen, and I'm nervous. At the same time, she's getting less responsive on my text messages. I'm like, oh shit, like I don't even know if she's gonna want to see me when I get there. But eventually the day comes and I arrive at the Bolivian airport in a city that's very small, in an airport that's very small. Everything is dark. I arrive at night and my phone is out. I'm trying to book an Uber. Eventually I get a super creepy taxi, and I'm like, fuck, if I manage to get to my Airbnb with this taxi, I'm really lucky. Like there's some higher power above watching out for me. Luckily I get to the right place, but I can't find my Airbnb, and I try to call the number that is on there, and I'm not getting through to anyone. 2 hours later, after trying, I find out that it was the wrong place. It put me off. And I managed to compare the photos and eventually find the right apartment because it doesn't seem to match on Google Maps. And I managed to get into my Airbnb. Now the girl and I, we had plans to meet up on the same night. And in my gut, I just knew something's gonna happen. And I look, and eventually she texts me, "You know what, I'm too busy tonight. Let's do a breakfast tomorrow." I'm like, okay, let's do a breakfast tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I'm telling myself, let's not get carried away, let's not have bad assumptions, let's just be open, and I'm gonna see her tomorrow, we're gonna have a good time, and so on. We end up meeting up for a breakfast, and I'm actually having a really good time with her. She's actually funny, we're joking around with each other, she's still amazingly gorgeous and charming and everything, and I'm like, man, this is actually great, I'm so happy I'm here. After 30-40 minutes has passed, she suddenly tells me, actually I need to go now. I'm like, that seems very early, but okay, I have 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, we'll figure something else out. On our way back from the breakfast, I'm asking like, oh, well, will you be free later tonight? She's like, no, I'm going to a wedding today. I'm like, okay, how about tomorrow? And she's like, oh, actually tomorrow I'm flying to a wedding in the Dominican Republic, and I'm gonna be there for 5 days. And I'm like, wait, but you told me that I should come now, that now was a really good time, and you were actually gonna be free these 2 weeks so we could hang out. It's like, oh yeah, but yeah, I guess that wasn't really. I'm like, did you lie about that? And she's like, yeah, because if I didn't, then you wouldn't have come, so I kind of had to, haha. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I came to this country to meet up with this girl, and here I am sitting in my apartment, sort of waiting for her to give me the grace of letting me be in her presence again. And she eventually comes back from the 5 days she spent in Dominican Republic, yet she's still too busy to meet up with me, and eventually I don't really see her that much again. I was sitting there by myself, lonely, miserable, depressed, like that fucking idiot you see in movies that travel across the world to meet up with some girl who then ditches him, doesn't want to spend time with him. I was that fucking idiot. I was stupid enough to fucking go to Bolivia to meet up with some girl that I didn't know because of how amazing and gorgeous she seemed, and then yet she didn't care enough to even spend time and meet me. I was that stupid, miserable, lonely idiot. And my God, did I feel it. I was lonely, I was sad, I was crying. If I had only listened to my gut, I kept telling myself. And it takes me a couple of minutes, it takes me a couple of days really, in that place. And eventually, I start crying again, but this time I'm crying with gratitude. Because I realized there was nothing that I wanted to change. I had met a girl, and I had taken an opportunity. I had opened my heart to the possibilities and said, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna try to get the most out of life, and I'm gonna take a chance that puts me at risk. I knew when I booked the ticket to go to Bolivia to meet a girl, it was a great risk, There was every chance in the world that I would get heartbroken, that I would get lonely, that I would get all of this. And yet there was a very, very small chance that never happened, that things would work out perfect, that she was my dream girl, that we would end up being together. And that never happened, and it was such a small chance, but I took that chance. I led with my heart being open, and I realized in that moment, if I had a son, what would I tell him? I would tell him to take chances, to live with an open heart, to get his heart absolutely broken, but to keep living, to keep trying, to keep seeking for opportunities, to keep seeking with an open heart, willing to explore, willing to get hurt, willing to get hurt. And that's what I had done. I had been willing to get hurt for the very small chance that I could experience something magical. And that alone ended up making the whole trip very much worth it. It was an incredible experience to sit there alone, depressed, sad in Bolivia by myself and thinking, man, there's nothing that I would change. There's nothing that I would change. I think very often we get this feeling that, oh, I should have listened to my gut, I should have trusted my intuition and said no and put down my foot. And it's like we think that it's such a bad thing when we go against our intuition, because I literally felt in my gut on the very first night that I met her that there's some kind of discrepancy there's some kind of thing about her that I feel like I can't trust. And that turned out to be exactly what hurt me. And so I went against my intuition, but I learned so much from going against my intuition. And so my message is, it's absolutely amazing to be led by your intuition, to follow your gut feeling. Absolutely, you should do it. But there comes times in our lives where we're like, I feel like my gut is telling me something, but if I do it, I'll never know what could have happened. If I go with my gut feeling, or if I trust my intuition, I won't actually test out what I'm hoping could happen. I won't really test out the universe. And so I'll shut myself up from a learning experience. Our gut, usually in my experience, my intuition is right. But if I don't test it out, how will I know? Now I know that my intuition was right in that first place when I had a gut feeling about how it would end out with her. I was right, and now I know. But if I had listened to my gut, I would have never known. I would have said, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that risk. I'm going to go straight past Bolivia. I'm not going to have that experience of getting myself broken down, miserable, lonely. But then having to search from a place of loneliness, of sadness, from happiness from myself. Oof. Wow, what an experience. Wow, what an experience that was. Getting my heart broken in Bolivia was an amazing opportunity. I realized then that girl is not for me. Amazing, she's amazing. The whole experience was incredible, but I know now that that girl was not for me. And had I not done that, I would have questioned probably to this day, could there have been something with that girl? Should I have gone to Bolivia? And now I tested it out. I shouldn't have gone to Bolivia, now I know. But I wouldn't have known if I didn't do it. So that's my message today. Don't be sad if you get your heart broken. Don't be sad when you take a chance and it doesn't amount to something. Don't be sad when you don't listen to your gut. But take it as a learning experience so that you can get more comfortable with trusting your gut, because now you have an experience of what happens when you don't. It's all good. It's all created by the universe to give us more experiences to learn. And that's the story I had to share with you today. Let me know in the comments how you like it when I share personal experiences like that, or if you prefer the normal content that I do. And if you have a story around a heartbreak, around a time where you learned something for yourself, where you went against your intuition and you ended up learning something, please do share them in the comments so I can see it and so other people can go through the comments and get inspired by your story. Thank you for watching, and take care until next time. Bye bye.